Hey everyone, thanks for joining in. This is Bitcoin Book Club on HODLcast. Today, Jack and I discuss chapters 8 through 15 of Jonathan Beer's book, The Blocksize War. We take a deep dive into Jihan Wu, who is the founder of Bitmain. He makes an appearance in this book and what happened. We also tread lightly when we talk about Craig Stephen Wright. So we discuss what he did with the large blockers and go into it. All right, guys, stay tuned for next week when we go over the final part of the book, chapters 16 through 21. If you're interested in hosting a book club on the Blocksize War, I added a link to the materials that we used today for you to use. All right, guys, enjoy. See you in the next time. Sounds good. Awesome. So, did you brush up on the other chapters?
Or was it just I only finished the book last week.
Okay. All right. I thought I love it. I love it. And getting to learn the people in the space. So we left off at the Hong Kong Roundtable, and this guy made his appearance, Jihan Wu. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right. Do you know anything about this guy?
Well, he's the CEO. Yeah, he's the head of Bitmain. I don't know, is he still around? Is he?
He is. I think he is. Actually, I don't know. I don't know if I should say that, but
God, he's only 35 years old.
He looks like he's 40, and I don't mean that in a insulting way. He has gone through some shit, you know, like running a company, doing international things, and being in China with the regulatory stuff they're going through. Oh my goodness. Yeah, he's 35 years old. So he was involved, co-founded Bitmain when he was 27. That's crazy. Oh yeah. That's crazy.
They are such a massive company. You have an Antminer, don't you?
Yeah, and so I have this like guilt over me because I'm reading like right. So the first section, reading about Coinbase and reading about Brian Armstrong and his support for larger blocks and everything. I was just like, oh man, like I'm contributing to this guy, you know, in some way. And then reading about Jihan, and I'm like, oh man, like I'm using their products, but like, what does that say then? Because like they have good products, right? Like you can't deny that. It's just, I think with that power comes that thinking, right? That success or being in control of all that makes you think you can control more, or you have more weight to throw around. And in some ways you do, but like, I don't know what it is with these guys and like just looking short term, right?
But he tried to, I don't know how to say in the book, but they spent $880 million trying to like promote and get Bitcoin to become Bitcoin Cash, basically. And it failed. And if he just spent all that money on just buying Bitcoin and holding it, they literally would probably be the biggest company in the world today, because like that would have appreciated like 50x. Combined with like, you know, their other, like they're massive, like they're so big.
And the roundtable was interesting because they came together and they put out a press release, right? And the press release was like, we all agree to like hesitate, you know. And I was trying to look for the photo because you described the photo of like how Adam Beck and one of the other guys weren't in there, and everyone looked exhausted, and the meeting went on till 4 a.m., you know. And he brought up a section on there on like UN, like global politics, right? How like you argue, you try to what's the word, when you try to compromise, you argue, you compromise, you talk about this topic for weeks, and then you guys just agree on something to get it done, right? And in the end, it has lasting effects that don't really do anything or are more harmful than helpful. Just because a bunch of guys in a room were tired at 4 a.m. and wanted to get something done. That was a super interesting thought in the book that like made me think like, you know, if this was just in Bitcoin, yeah, what about like UN problems or stuff like that?
Yeah. It's like people meet and want to feel productive or whatever, and then make a decision and just for the sake of making it, but to feel like justify their meeting, and you know, like that goes on everywhere. Like everything.
It's like talking to an ex before you guys break up, right? It's like talking to a wall. Maybe I'll cut that out. That's funny. So Jihan, dude, yeah, this guy's interesting. I sent in a link, but we'll see him again. So they left the Hong Kong roundtable and they agreed. Do you remember what the agreement was on?
Well, what was
like
it
the
again?
main
It was
term?
the agreement. Yeah, well, was that when they signed everything to say that they're going to go ahead and change it, isn't it?
Yeah, they'll implement SegWit and then they'll work on a hard fork and then they will discuss and go online. But like the small blockers were like, no, we'll discuss about going online. And then the large blockers were like, no, we're going to go online. But it was said vaguely in that they would stall later on. I mean, it was an agreement, but like everyone had their motives for how they worded their charter or whatever. So
yeah, it was. I suppose the agreement with the small blockers obviously had no intention of ever allowing the hard fork to happen. So, but they got their SegWit as a result.
And then we got onto fake Satoshi with Craig Stephen Wright. So I guess for people that don't know, this guy claims to be Satoshi. He recently won a lawsuit for the right to part of some Bitcoin that's not accessible unless he was Satoshi, right?
Yeah. He has a lot of those defamation lawsuits going. We better be careful what we say now. We might.
I know. And it's funny because he mentioned a lot of other stuff, and I was gonna say he like changed a blog post or an email that he said in the past. Some defamation lawsuits, I think. So that was crazy. That was curious. And then I was very curious because the author, Jonathan, said that when Craig made the claim that he was Satoshi, that he was like, okay, we will verify the keys, right? And he was waiting for Craig to show the public key, and then he would sign it so that it would verify that he was Satoshi. And he put out this this blog and kind of explaining. It's very interesting. He put out this blog, and I think this was the I am Satoshi, but I'm not Satoshi anymore. Oh no, this was oh man, where is it? Did I lose it?
Probably get it.
Oh no, I was wrong. It was the wrong slide. And so Jonathan said he got this article, and this is where he was looking for a public key for him to show and sign that he was Satoshi. And he was saying that like the article, these were the headers for the article, the subtitles. And so we have so I'm going to read this to you. You take a look at it and tell me what you think about what the article is doing, right? So we have key verification, hashing, public keys, signing, signature verification, some scripts, signing, verification, choices on formatting, one reference. All right. What comes to mind? Like when you see that structure, what do you think of?
Well, so this is the article where he claims.
This is the article where he claims. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, and he claims it, and he doesn't like just do the thing that everyone's looking for.
Mm-hmm.
To just sign it. Like, so yeah, like what he gives there. Well, it wasn't at all like a way to sign it wasn't what needed to be done to prove that it was. Yeah, it was like obfuscating. It was just It was like here are the instructions to verify a public key, and like that's all I'm going to talk about, and like not talk about mine, like verifying mine. This is just like informational blog post on how to do it, you know. And he said that he found one and someone saw that it was just copied from another transaction. So now I want to be careful with what I'm saying because I have no idea, but I think it was like he never verified. He doesn't have the private key to prove that he is Satoshi. Yeah. The simple thing to do is just sign it. And your man Gavin Andreessen was saying that he witnessed him do it in person or something.
I don't remember that.
Showed him in a coffee.
Is that in the book?
Maybe it's later on. I'm nearly certain he said that they met in person in London. Mm-hmm. And Gavin thought that Craig did some kind of thing to just prove that he owned those coins and he could access them. And he didn't. No, he did do it, Gavin said. But he since said now that he thinks there's a possibility he may have been misled. Because like, why would he not just, if Craig's going to announce to the world that he's Satoshi, why not just do it for everyone? Like, you know, why would she just,
come out?
So so I suppose it's thought that, again, who knows, but it's thought that Gavin was fooled by Craig. It's like Craig maybe made some elaborate thing up this program or something to dupe Gavin, who was the main guy in Bitcoin at the time. Yeah, not good.
Yeah, Gavin, and I think, and I haven't finished the book yet, so I don't know what happens to Gavin. But one thing I was realizing or noticing was like, I think after 2017, 2018, a lot of the big blockers just like stopped, at least doing like YouTube stuff. Maybe I'll find out why, but yeah, and then we get to the DAO, and I thought this was super cool, very interesting, because in a way, Ethereum kind of saved Bitcoin.
Sorry, yeah, it did. I definitely, I definitely vote that because if, well, yeah, but it says it in the book, but yeah, like it's scared just how bad these protocol changes could be and how it could go, and that change maybe actually isn't a good thing. And if that didn't happen with Ethereum, it nearly almost certainly would have gone through like the block size change.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and just so many cool, interesting things like the brain drain, right? Like Ethereum's just started taking a lot of people from the Bitcoin larger blocks, right? Just the people that wanted to like play around with the chain and stuff, and started just taking them away. And then the hacking, that's interesting. And I want to know more about it. And there's a really good book on it called Out of the Ether that's all about the Ethereum hack. And I think that's very important because it set another, what am I trying to say? Like it set an attitude for how Bitcoin should go forward, or it made everyone check themselves again, you know, like, oh shit, like, you know, we got to be careful. And just the, you know, and I guess for people that don't know what happened, Ethereum, they had a DAO, a decentralized autonomous organization, and a lot of people put in money into this protocol, and there was a hack where people couldn't get their money back. So what Ethereum decided to do was hard fork and give the people that lost their money or that lost their Ethereum back, and go onto the new chain, which was still called Ethereum, and then the old chain where people lost their funds would continue on as Ethereum Classic. And that's just messing up with the monetary policy, right?
It's come back to that thing, like if it's been done once, it's going to happen again. Like there's going to be some mass, it's like, you know, the way they're trying to change or like what they call like tokenomics and all that, token economics, and you've no certainty it's going to be anyway the way it is in like 20 years from now. It's kind of like, it's like Murphy's Law, like what can happen will happen. And it's like there's going to be some big thing that doesn't work, or there's going to be a new chain that comes along and they're going to try to adapt to that chain. And yeah, it's for, you know, things can't just be changed like that, not with this kind of a thing.
Yeah. And that's why it's like, try to make it, well, I don't want to say try to make it not change, but try to limit, try to keep the essence of what makes Bitcoin hard money, right? And keep that unchangeable, right? I think, try to stay away from Murphy's Law, even though we're going to have, you know, second layers and third layer applications, right? We'll keep the core and the foundation, you know, the same.
Like if there was some kind of hack on any of the second or third layers or whatever, like definitely wouldn't be catastrophic. But if it happened on the core layer, then layer one, that's very serious. What do you think would happen how do you think things would play out if, say there was a bug found and a lot of people couldn't access it? Is Bitcoin finished then or what?
In this scenario, could the bug be fixed?
Well, I suppose there'd be two ways. So say it's the same thing. No, it's not quite the same DAO hack, but like say there was some bug where people couldn't spend their funds if you created a wallet between a certain day. Now, obviously, this is probably most definitely maybe not even possible or going to happen. Just say between March 2015 and April 2016, anyone that created a wallet there can't spend funds out of wallets, so they're gone. There's two solutions. Is to just accept they're gone. And then the other solution is to just roll back. Actually, that wouldn't even be possible because you'd have to roll it back the whole way to like 2015.
Yeah, and I just think there's too many nodes. There's too many people now that are, right, like kind of one thing that I think about is like I was born into Bitcoin in the small block era, right? Like all we know is nodes and have your own node, and node is the power to the people. Like that's what we grew up in. Had I have learned about Bitcoin in the past, I don't know if I would be on the large block. I'm trying to think of the type of person that I am, and I don't know. What do you think? If you were into Bitcoin in say 2014 and you were in the midst of this and you were on Reddit Bitcoin, right? Our Bitcoin, what position do you think you would take?
I was
knowing yourself, right? Knowing your behaviors and who you are, your personality.
Well, I think the easy thing for everyone then was to assume that like this tech upgrade is progress. And this was obviously the case. Everyone believed it. Yeah, I probably would have gone along with it as well. And to be honest, in the 2017, when it was all happening, Bitcoin Cash, I didn't really know. I don't know, maybe I didn't really care. Just it was like, oh, we get 2 Bitcoins or whatever now. You know, we get Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash. And we'll see what one plays out and then just keep the money in the one that does do well, which was Bitcoin.
Everyone wanted bigger blocks, right? Like the vast majority. I want to say 75% conservatively, but I think it was like more people wanted larger blocks fast. And even the small block, people wanted 2 megabytes, right? But like the fact that everyone wanted to expand it, I got a feeling I'd be rolling with the large block crew, you know, unfortunately.
Yeah, well, I think it would be the same. It's a bit of the same thing would happen, I think, where as time bears out and the various things like the DAO, well, look, that's just the way it happened. But the natural, as you start to understand this more and more, like from a monetary history point of view and economics, you eventually come to the conclusion that this can't be changed, or else it's just not going to stand the test of time. The biggest forces haven't even started to come yet, I think, anyway. Yeah.
Go ahead. No, keep going with that. I was thinking the exact same thing.
Yeah, like and I presume Bitcoin's going to be resilient. Well, I can only speculate, but I don't think I don't buy this narrative at all, like the Bitcoin maxi Twitter, where they say like, you know, we don't care, Bitcoin's just going to do its thing. Like there's no benefit to thinking that way really, because like if you're thinking that it's like, if you ever read that book, The Art of War by Sun Tzu, it's very good actually. But he says, like, never give a reason to, first of all, never underestimate your enemy, and never give him a reason to like incentivize him to like want to beat you more. Like, like if you're winning in a match, football match, don't start cheering the other team and making their veins filled with rage to really want to stick it to you. Like, and like that whole Bitcoin maxi stuff of how Bitcoin's already won and all that. Like, first of all, I don't think it has any benefit to thinking that way. It actually makes Bitcoin weaker as a result. It may be true, but it makes Bitcoin weaker. And then the second thing is, the second thing is I just don't think it's true. Like, I don't think it's cut and dry that Bitcoin, like, there's going to be a lot and if the governments and the world, which are highly coordinated, like in the UN and like the World Economic Forum and like the EU, if they were to get together, so there's two ways it can go. Like, say the Central American countries, all that, they could start coming out saying Bitcoin standard and great. Or else what could happen is they could all unite, put a framework together and say, right, in this 120 countries, members, all the IMF nations are basically banned from any fiat on-ramps and off-ramps to Bitcoin. Anyone that uses this to transact or hold it
sanction them,
will
right?
be committing a criminal offense. Yeah. Now, obviously, that's going to be really hard to pull off, but I definitely don't think it's possible. And again, kind of what we were saying earlier, with all the global lockdowns and stuff, if that is coordinated on some scale, which I'm not necessarily saying it is, I definitely think there's a big part of it. But you would have said before that would be pretty hard to pull off. And maybe if that is the case, that it is coordinated, it's going pretty well. Like, I think with Bitcoin though, just do everything we can to make sure things, not just assume that the battle's been won. Like.
Yeah, and actually, I had a different. Maybe I had answering a different question, in that I'm not saying we're so decentralized, but we have it's all small blocks, right? We are like, there's so many people that are making nodes and making their own nodes. Like, when the banks start coming, they won't be able to change it, right? Like,
I suppose I was talking about different kind of attack, I suppose, because as you said, I think that area is fairly concrete now. Maybe I'm wrong. Obviously, want to keep proving. Sorry, I cut you off anyway.
Not at all. Yeah, and I mean, I guess that brings it to the financial markets, right? I think the hard fork, what he was mentioning was, now that there's money on the line, right? We're gonna really see what the market wants. Yeah, free market. Replay attacked. I forgot. Oh yeah, Coinbase was replay attacked with Ethereum. So something along the lines of, do you remember what a replay attack was? I'm about to say it, but it's going to be wrong.
To be honest, you'll definitely do a better job.
It was like, it was like, I'm able to sell Ethereum. It was something about selling or buying the two different Ethereums and then being able to like get more profit from, I don't want to say arbitrage, but like messing with the two chains. And Coinbase got screwed over because of this attack. And
yeah,
it was much needed. At the end of the day, this really, I think, saved Bitcoin, because it was just like everyone was ready to jump into the water, and then this happened and everyone started to get cold feet. So they still sell the shirts. It's still online. And I thought it was funny to have the Jihan, Jake Smith, and Roger Ver tour, where they just went around China and were like pushing Bitcoin Unlimited. Brian Armstrong, again, just on the wrong side of history here. Like, just crazy. And then Bitcoin Unlimited. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, go on, keep going.
No, I wasn't going to say anything.
I was just watching you mention Coinbase. There's a bit of a lag there. Like, they haven't even supported Bitcoin Lightning yet. Like, how have they not done that yet?
Wait, Coinbase hasn't?
Coinbase don't support Bitcoin Lightning.
Oh, okay.
Unless.
Well, what exchanges?
There's a lot of exchanges that do it now.
I don't. Really?
There's a big one here. I think you can use it in Vietnam. The two biggest ones are, I think, Coin Corner. They're big in Europe, and OKCoin do as well, I think. Yeah, I got a list of them actually. That's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I think Coinbase is too big to where Brian can really dictate and not want to have Lightning and have this company culture. I think they're too big and they're public right now for not having Lightning, is not because he doesn't want to like go against the small block now. You know what I mean? Like, if they don't have Lightning, and actually when you say that, that's new to me. I don't. The exchanges that I'm familiar with in the US don't have Lightning, unless Kraken has Lightning. I don't think Kraken has Lightning support.
It's coming out very soon.
Okay.
Let me send this to you here. No, I don't know how. This seems fairly correct.
Here, I'll just make you.
A lot of them do. Yeah, let me share this.
Who's co-host?
Do you want me to just send you the link here?
Yeah, just send me the link, because I don't want to mess up with Kelly's not here to fix anything. We'll be screwed.
Well, it says in this, Bitstamp support Lightning. They definitely don't.
What am I looking for? Here we go. The exchanges. Declare, Infinex. So, you know what's so funny? All the European, anything not the US, the exchanges just sound so weird to me. BitMEX.
Have you heard of Bitstamp?
Bitstamp, BitMEX, BitHunt, like all this shit that's not US. I'm just like, this is weird, man.
Yeah, Bitstamp. Well, look, Coinbase is really big here as well.
Yeah,
Bitstamp is really big. Bitstamp, I think Bitstamp would probably like. No, there's a long way to go. Like, I think they're probably best for if you want to do the versus, say, Coinbase, Binance kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. I didn't realize I wasn't sharing the screen.
Oh, I'm just looking at it myself as well, so I didn't notice. But yeah, no, Bitstamp do actually support Lightning for another of it. They have kind of a wallet, CBD wallet or something. But yeah, well, I just think it's interesting about Coinbase. Like, if you look at his Twitter threads, they're very focused around, like, you know, all these, just listing all these altcoins and, you know, different speeds. And it seems like, well, not, obviously a lot of them aren't speed now, but they're doing other things. And it's like Lightning, you think, would be fairly up there. seemingly not, as a kind of important business decision, to support like Bitcoin scaling. Having the biggest exchange in the world support it would be you'd think a no-brainer, really. Yeah.
So what tool would a Lightning would Lightning Access have in an exchange? What usefulness would it have in an exchange, right? They make their money off fees, right? And
just for deposits and withdrawals, really. So that's all it is. So you're able to deposit Bitcoin through Lightning address and pay no fees, and it's instant.
Yeah.
There's other things like, just like Sovereign. They're not doing anything yet, but they're trying to build like their Lightning DeFi product on Bitcoin. So it's all the protocols like for making the trades on their DEX is supposedly possible to be done through Lightning. So, but they know what they're doing at the moment. Like.
And it was just interesting to hear that like the people who are the same guys, different name for the Bitcoin, right? Bitcoin Classic, Bitcoin Cash, Bitcoin Unlimited. They were just right. It was not driven by technical expediency, right? It was just about trying to build what they couldn't force on people. Maybe that's not fair to say, but and then the exchanges, as we were just talking about that, and like you mentioned before or earlier, right? I thought it was crazy how the large blockers, they had a war chest. They were planning on killing off the small blocks by just making a bunch of orphan blocks, and just screwing them over. But the exchanges, money talks, right? Well, that's a horrible thing to say because it's not applicable, but what did the exchanges want, right? They wanted separate coins. They didn't want one trying to morph into the other and be the same thing. Yeah. And then the last chapter for today was over the ASIC Boost. And as someone who just set up the miner, like I was super interested in this because I saw that on like the drop downs. It was like ASIC Boost, and this was pretty cool. Are you familiar with the technicalities of ASIC Boost?
Well, look, I know what it does, I suppose, but it wasn't good for Jihan really making his arguments, was it?
Can you say that again?
It wasn't good for like Bitmain. They basically they didn't want to switch to SegWit because Boost wasn't going to work anymore.
Exactly. Covert Boost wasn't going to work anymore. So yeah, so for people that don't know, when you're hashing Bitcoin, there's two chunks, and what two chunks you have to hash. What ASIC Boost does is it keeps one of the chunks the same, so it doesn't have to hash this whole number. It just has to hash part of this number. And that leads to like 20% efficiencies. And something that Bitmain was doing Covert Boost. And what Covert Boost did was there are 4 bytes in the tail end of the Merkle root. And with Covert Boost, what you can do was mix the order of the transactions, right? SegWit makes it to where you can't change the order of the order of what the transactions were in. And with Covert ASIC Boost, without SegWit, you can rearrange the transaction order to make it easier, or maybe to get the advantage, right? But SegWit prohibited from miners to do that, or mining pools to do that. So it was very interesting. And then that led to drama because Jihan said he didn't signal SegWit because he was waiting for consensus with the large blockers. But now we're starting to see that it could have been because it would have not been as profitable than if they didn't have SegWit. Now, there's an interview that I linked into the channel that was very interesting. His argument was, we didn't profit from Covert ASIC Boost. We just saved. And the amount we saved was like 2 million or 20 million, something like that. I know 2 million and 20 million are two different numbers, but the overall thing was it was a small percentage of their operation. And so his denial is, why would we do that if it was just saving us a little bit of money, right? So, yeah, I was rambling.
Yeah.
But
no, it makes sense. Yeah, and I suppose, well, the only thing is, my sense from reading the book was that maybe this could have been something that they were planning to do in the future. Now, look, who knows? But because didn't they put a patent on it or file a patent or something?
Yeah, and I think no one really knows. The patent's convoluted with who can use it or how. And there was an interesting point that Jonathan said was covert mining could lead to centralization, in that only people with the patent, right, could run this algorithm, which would give them a higher edge of mining more, because they'll be able to run more efficiently and get a higher probability. And then they would just grow faster than all the other miners who didn't have the patent. So that's another interesting thing. And that reminds me a lot about how we can always put the bucket of centralization and decentralization. Like, I feel like that's just a term we could use on anything now, but it's so true. This would have led to a more centralization of miners. Could have led to a more centralization of miners.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. So what's next? What do I have to look forward to for the end of the book?
So it finishes strong. It's just all like there'll be a lot of talk about Bitcoin Cash coming up, and like Roger Ver again. There's kind of a change out in characters a bit again. Jihan Wu's kind of there the whole time, but Roger Ver really comes onto the scene now.
Okay.
Have you listened to Roger Ver much?
You know what? I just was watching, he had a YouTube channel because he owns Bitcoin.com. So people might get confused if you go to Bitcoin.com, it's a Bitcoin Cash, right? It's a Bitcoin Cash domain. It's not a Bitcoin domain. So he owns that, and he worked with the larger blockers. That's all I know. And I saw maybe 4 minutes of his YouTube intro, and it was on news, and like 3 minutes of it was like ads or like pushing. It's the same thing with Bitcoin. So I don't want to sound you know, too harsh on what I heard, but right.
I just think it's funny. Like, I just think that term, it's obviously like a derogatory slander or term, but like B trash, the Bitcoiners just called Bitcoin Cash. Like, no, I don't want any B trash, thanks. Or we don't accept B trash, just Bitcoin.
I've never heard of it, and I think we're like I don't think we're gonna come across that with this new wave of people, you know. I feel like this is history that it's so recent, you know, but things move so fast, and like these are new norms that, and we're still so early, right? Nobody knows about Bitcoin still. That like people they might hear of Bitcoin Cash, but just like me, I really had no idea what it was until recently, you know.
Yeah. So yeah, I wonder is Bitcoin Cash going to go to zero now?
It's at 500. It's at like $500.
Yeah. It's definitely higher than that before, like way higher. Let me see. Yeah, look at 2017 started out 2,600, the $3,000. So it's obviously versus Bitcoin is trending down horrendously. So yeah.
All right, man. I'll have a good evening, and I'll talk to you soon. All right.
Okay, Fabian, see you.
All right, take care, Jack. Peace.